Whoa, welcome,
Boom.
welcome, welcome. Chip, what is going on, man? It is the round table again. I can't believe it's been a week. The weeks fly by, and since last week, Chip, I can't, man, the SEC versus Ripple. What is up with that?
I don't know, Jeff. Well, I'll tell you what's up. We did 2 live streams yesterday. That was part of what was up.
That's it, man. That was
And
that was what it was all about.
no, if you're here last week, this is not deja vu. Yes, we do have back on the show with us Channing Smithson. Channing, what's up? He doesn't seem talkative today, Jeff.
No, oh man, getting a little
What?
bit of. I think he froze.
Yeah, it was the
I
same.
think I think he froze
There you go.
again. Oh man, here we go. Channing, he's there.
And he'll come in. He'll come in. We'll
All
get
right.
him
If
invited
we
in.
have an issue, might have to bring him out, bring him back in again. But today, Chip, we're going to dive even further into the SEC versus Ripple. How is this going to impact retail investors? We have a lot of people here from the XRP community really wanting to get in and try to figure things out. And we're going to take this journey as this case progresses. I think we're going to be doing a lot of live streams on this SEC versus Ripple.
Yeah, I'm gonna be since I'm gonna have some downtime this week. We'll be doing some streams. I think we're doing 2 more tomorrow. I'll do a daytime one. You'll do a nighttime one. And
It's going to be awesome.
there's just too much to talk about, and really we need really to hear from the community as well. So we got to get that's one of the things I'm enjoying is hearing from everybody because there's such great contribution in the comments, and sometimes there's some eye poking too. So we can do that as well. Let me go ahead and kill this one.
There
There
he
you
is.
go.
Hey, Channing,
Hey,
you're
how's
with
it
us.
going, guys? I tell you,
Welcome,
man,
welcome.
technology.
We
Was
unfroze him. We had him,
Yeah, he's
frozen
good.
over there.
Same
Huge
thing happened
screen.
last week. We played the open and then froze. I
Well,
don't know.
this might happen again if we're going to kick it off with the intro.
It's possible. We're gonna go through
Or
the intro again, and we might have to just pop in back in, but that's fine. Let's do it, guys. There's so much to talk about. Let's get going. Let's kick it off right now. Let's do it.
here.
And now, the roundtable with Jeff and Chip on the chain.
All right, we're back, and it looks
Whoa.
like Channing's not frozen. Hey, I just wanted to shout a few people out. First person that I want to shout out for tonight is
Come on, man, Berserker.
Berserker's in the room. Yeah, Berserker.
Berserker here with us. First one in the stream tonight. Let's scroll all the way to the top. Hanging out, I believe Connie was the first one in tonight. We got WB, Wen Mullet, and Tony Fisk. They were in that top group. And man, we got so many people in here. It would take us, we could be talking about this for the next 20 minutes. Everyone that's bounced in here.
But a lot of fan favorites too. And one of the things that we talked about, I guess yesterday, that we talked about, we did some live streams. I'm going to be doing another big teardown series too because I think I made it to page 13 of the complaint. Well, and it wasn't too far into it, but after looking at a lot of what I'm really enjoying is reading some of the comments, both pro and con, right? So you have your detractors, the ones that say, you fanboys, moon boys are done, right? Or you're crushed, it's over. And then you start seeing a lot of other people, some prominent people in the community, some people that are no names that chime in too, and they've got their opinions on it. And overwhelmingly, I kind of see more positive vibes about this. And I just know that Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, they just cannot wait. They're probably burning the midnight oil, can't wait to get this going. And I saw somebody else say, hey, this could take up to 2 weeks to handle. So Channing, what is your take on this whole thing, man? This has been a little nutty this week.
I don't think Ripple's going to sit back and just allow this to go on for years. They have private investors, not just, ones like MoneyGram, partners, and different ones like that. Stuart Alderati is on and ready. and that makes me extremely positive as well. And you know, they have some muscle when it comes to you know, some of these legalities. They know their stuff, and if we look at some of the evidence, we'll see that basically some of this litigation, there's so many, it's like Swiss cheese. You know, there's so many holes in this thing. You know, it just really doesn't add up.
Yeah, you're right about that. There a lot of mischaracterizations is what I've discovered, you know, in this whole thing. There's a lot of, you know, mistruths and sort of, because one of the things that we talked about yesterday, we really went into the whole idea that one of the assertions that they're making is that that Ripple funded their operation, and they were running up bills, and there's no way they could have done it. And then, well, if you look at it, they've had multiple funding rounds. They had two contributors in Series A, or their seed round, then a Series A, and also too, one of the things we'll probably jump in a little bit about is the whole Howie. The Howie test, which, you know, it took me a while to put this together. By the way, so Jeff and I living in Florida here, you know, Howie, the gentleman who kind of built in Lake County up here, it's like right over by Orlando there. Howie in the Hills. I didn't connect it, but Howie in the Hills, which I know because they sold houses up there. But that town was named after Howie. He went in there in the 20s and basically changed it. He was a prominent politician. I kind of feel like, you know, the more I'm starting to read down on this, they were kind of going after him. They were looking for a way to, let's just say, it looks a little political. And then when I read the dissent on the Supreme Court case, they basically, there's one dissenter. This is Justice Frankfurter. One of the things that he said was, on his dissent was, he said, well, he was dissenting because he said that Howie allowed people to go and work their land. He also allowed them to come preview it. So he felt like saying that they were totally hands off. That was part of it, but he said that there was more to it, that the parcel of land was up to them if they wanted to go do it. If they didn't want to do it, then they would take care of it. But they certainly had the option to go take care of that. So kind of starting to look like a little bit of a political hit job. I don't want to get all conspiracy now, but Jeff, you know, this is something we'll have to dig in deeper another time.
Yeah, Chip, you know, on that point, to dig deeper, I mean, you could almost say that there's a very close similarity between what was happening back then in that case. If we dig in and look at the political aspect, to potentially, you know, highlighting, you know, why Brad Garlinghouse, you know, is being singled out, you know, specifically, and the why now, you know, question of why is Ripple being singled out, you know, for this case. You know, there's a lot. It could be very interesting to look at it from a political perspective because, you know, XRP is not the run-of-the-mill digital asset and Ripple is not the run-of-the-mill company. There is a lot of backroom conversations that have been going on for the past years as it relates to, let's see, the banking industry and Swift. So, I mean, that we could dig into that. That could be really, really interesting to draw a comparison to.
Yeah, really big. Hey, just want to jump in here. Simon Biggerton, nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate that $7.99 super chat. Thank you guys. Always very appreciative when you do that.
Those are Australian dollars.
Australian dollars. I'll say. So one of the things that Jeff and I always say is, look, the best way to support this channel and support, you know, the OTC is just share it with people. You know, share it with people. You know, wake your, you know, neighbors and call your friends and text them and, you know. But that's really the best way. And then coming in here and like you guys do every week and you follow us, so that's pretty awesome. So I want to say thank you.
Hey, Jackie,
you're from Leesburg. Yeah, so you're from Lake County, right there. Yeah, So let me ask you, Jackie, there's also, I believe there's the old Howie mansion there too that was just recently, because I think I was following this. Sometimes I think I'm crazy, but tell me if I'm wrong. There was the Howie mansion that was dilapidated. Some young couple came in there and totally restored the whole thing. Now, I could be conflating this with some mansion over in the UK. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I'm getting it right. Channing, do you know anything about the Howie mansion?
Man, I have no idea.
Okay, good. Neither do I, man.
Brother. You got me on that one,
Howie Mansion.
Yeah, neither do I, man. Howie Mansion. There it is.
Last week we talked about something, and would you guys mind if I share screen on something?
No, please do.
Go ahead. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Wen Mullet. I've heard of Howie Mandel. Nice.
Well, something. That's something.
Want to
Howie
share
Long?
this with you guys. Speaking about, Smithson, right? This comes from the Smithsonian. Are you guys able to see that?
Yeah.
Yep, I popped it up. Yep.
So over here, it talks about the art of the New Deal, which basically was started off from during the Great Depression around 1934. The United States was near the depths of what we hope will not go down in history as the first Great Depression. But later on, basically inside of this project, and I don't want to, veer off from talking about
But
what's
that's what we
going
do
on
here, so
currently in
that's
this week.
okay.
But in this, but in this argument, what happened here is Franklin D. Roosevelt used art in a program called the New Deal. Now, the interesting part about that is if you go over here to the HuffPost, it mentions when owning gold was illegal in America and why it could be again. Now, it gets into this New Deal in 1933. FDR was elected president, right? And then it gets into a subject. FDR quickly realized, however, that he could not print enough money to pay for a spending program, even by increasing taxes. The Federal Reserve Act of 1914 limited the amount of money that could be printed by the government. All Federal Reserve notes, paper money, had to be backed by 40% gold owned by the federal government. In other words, for every dollar printed, the government needed 40 cents of gold in the bank. And then it gets into a little bit something further. Right here, Americans required to hand gold into the government. All Americans were required to turn in their gold on or before May 1st, 33, to the Federal Reserve in return for 20.67 cents of paper money per troy ounce. Americans who did not turn in their gold were subject to arrest on criminal charges and faced up to 10 years in federal prison. An exception was made for dentists, okay? You ever heard of a mouth of gold teeth, right? Who could own up to 100 ounces. So this is really interesting. I really thought about this case when I heard some of this information that came out with the recently with Jay Clayton. I thought about this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this.
Oh yeah.
You probably are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm very familiar with the whole New
but
Deal,
it
man.
really reminded me about how sometimes the government gets involved.
Yeah, at the wrong point, potentially. And now I find it really interesting, you bring that up, as we're sitting here and the SEC is, taking this case against Ripple. And there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Yesterday I kind of analyzed it from one perspective. In my opinion, I think that it's an expected case. Ripple was anticipating that the SEC was, at some point they were going to be in court with the SEC. I believe the community at large have anticipated that there was going to be some sort of a discourse between Ripple and the SEC, because at the end of the day, they have to settle this argument as to whether or not the XRP digital asset, the XRP token, is a security or not a security. Obviously the SEC's case is wrapped up with this idea that XRP is in fact a security, whereas Ripple and many others, and in fact, was it FinCEN came out and said that XRP is not a security. In the UK, they deem it not a security. In Japan, it's not a security. In many other countries, it's not a security. Yet the SEC is building this case in a specific direction, as Chip had mentioned, even like with Howie and whatnot. But it's interesting what you're bringing up, because I've thought about this for a long time, as we've invested and had these, conversations over the XRP digital asset, and the fact that XRP is wrapped up in banking. Bankers and banking institutions, they don't necessarily want to share their space with the average retail investor, right? The government definitely doesn't want to share their monetary space with the average retail investor. Similar to the whole gold scenario, the government, when they made it illegal to hold gold at that point, they didn't want to share. This is the space belonging to the government. wrong or right. They made that decision. The people allowed it to happen, and it moved forward. So the question then would be, as you're making that comparison, as we're starting to see this case unfold, let's say the SEC makes a specific judgment, but let's say the government oversteps and makes a specific judgment as well. Where does that leave the retail investor? Let's say we do have a reoccurrence of that scenario, and maybe they look at XRP again as that financial catalyst, that's going to, bridge the gap of all currencies around the world. And they look at this technology and they say, hey, this is our technology and we need this. We don't want the people to have any hands in this. We don't want any manipulation in this. We need to control it.
And it's interesting too, the timing of it all, right? Coming around on Christmas Eve and also during the holidays when a lot of the courts are inoperable. It's really convenient when you think about how you can drop this type of bomb to basically just make the price. And it wasn't just XRP. We saw a 50 billion drop in the coin market. So that's pretty significant.
That's huge. And here's another one. So it changed its name to the Critical Complex Channel. So the former SEC enforcer Michael Dudig also said XRP is not a security. Also, the Department of Justice said it wasn't a security. They called it a currency as well. So there's enough precedent there for this. But people that think that they just said, Jay Clayton's on his way out, and he's like, okay, team, here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna get that evil. We're gonna get Ripple finally, right? We're gonna nail him. We're gonna get him, okay? We're gonna call him. And this has been in the works for a long time. I mean, they've been working on this. It just so happened because remember, Jay Clayton was originally scheduled to leave, I think 4 or 5 months from now, and then they kind of moved it up. I don't think they said like, hey Jay, you thinking about leaving early? He's like, nah, man, I'm gonna ride it out. And they're like, by the way, you're leaving on this date. I think they kind of like showed him the door. I don't think they were. People don't usually leave early, right? I mean, you kind of like serve out your term or whatever. But he wasn't the right person for that gig, and now his replacement is crypto friendly. And of course, you have. It's funny because I went down this rabbit hole earlier where I was looking at Hester Pierce. She's a really good writer. She wrote a couple opinion pieces and stuff, and she wrote the one specifically about cryptocurrency and around crypto and the long history of Bitcoin and everything. And I'm like, has Jay Clayton ever read this? Because I just don't know. I feel like there was a lot of internal struggle inside the organization because you had the prosecutorial arm, which were like, let's get them. And the SEC, that's not really their bag, right? FinCEN is more around the whole, going after people that are doing, bad actors, right? But if you look at it on the other side, I'm thinking, wait a minute, what? Crypto Eddie pulled this out where she said their new claim to fame is just suing people, right? Complaints, attacking them, and then for all the trouble, they get a little fine. And that's going to happen here. There's going to be a fine. A lot of people have raised the whole statute of limitations. There's no statute of limitations with the SEC. Let's get that straight. That's not going to play in this whole thing. So that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, and when it comes to all this tribalism, I just find it really sad. Vitalik Buterin and Anthony Pompliano, some of that conduct is just totally unprofessional, man. Seeing, when you look at these guys, who they represent, the company that they represent, and just to come out with language like that. Pomp, come on, man. What do you need, a hug, bro? He needs a hug. Uncalled for, man.
Yeah, but my take on that though, Channing, was, my first initial reaction was like, whoa, here they come. They're coming out. They got the torches. The torches are out and they're gonna go light it on fire. But then I kind of just knowing that Pomp, my boy Pomp, he's like, it's your boy Pomp. So our boy Pomp has had Garlinghouse on twice now, right? So and he also talks to a lot of people in the community, and he's kind of like, I felt like his was more tongue in cheek. It was more like comedic, sort of a tone, and I kind of felt like Vitalik Buterin was a little bit very, I guess, so much in the same vein. He kind of attacked it in a sense, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me that I don't really look that hard into it, but I didn't think it was like even thought he was like, I thought it was more of a comedical thing. Maybe I wasn't, Jeff. What did you think about it? Like some of these people coming out and just torturing.
And I mean, I get it from my boy Pomp over there, to come out, and do a slash and burn type of thing. But I look at Vitalik, I mean, the guy, I was just looking up his age, the guy's 26 years old. Not going to say that's, super young, but as far as global experience, worldly experience in the finance space, I think that this guy, his whole life has really been focused on the tech side. I'm not going to discount, his knowledge in it, but I think some of his reactions are a little bit more immature, and not refined yet, in terms of, how he comments, so, we can leave it at that. Again, I'm not going to take away from his intelligence or how he analyzes. I just think he's analyzing things a little bit naively.
Yeah. But it still seems like, Ripple can't be stopped. Everybody thought we were going to drop down to 0 cents, and look at us. We're still maintaining at 29, 30 cents. Brad Garlinghouse, several weeks back, he said that 95% of our business is coming outside of the U.S. So that really just goes to show the strength of the company and the token.
That's a great point, man. What do you think on that, Chip?
Well, I was gonna bring something else up that it's sort of gone from right now. I was gonna roll something else into this, but hey, it's perfect sidetrack for this. Let's do this.
Before you sidetrack, what do you think about that? Price point, strength.
Well, okay, I know what I was gonna say. Sorry, man. Yeah. So here's the thing. SEC came out and said that Ether is not a security, right? However, the same allegations they're making in the complaint, saying that Ripple funded their operation. Well, there's emails, there's public stuff out there that Vitalik, I think it was one of the key investors said if it hadn't been for this investment of you buying the Ether, this project might not still be around. Geez, that looks an awful lot like funding your project. It looks like you're funding your company, you're funding your operation. So I'm guaranteeing you that this is going to make its way into the court case as well, saying, okay, well, you said this wasn't, but here's all the things that they did that you're alleging that we did as well. So I do think that, Bitcoin's always going to be safe, right? There's nobody knows who did it. There's no company behind it. But the decentralization part, and Jeff, this goes back to what you were talking about earlier. When you and Shannon, you mentioned this, when the government wants to control, right? They want to bring it in. It's like, well, wait a minute, we're talking about a decentralized thing, and Bitcoin's promise was, hey man, you don't need the banks, you don't need anybody anymore. You're just going to go totally, off grid. And look, banks are going to resist that all day long, and that's why they get into CBDCs and all this other thing. But they don't like that stuff. They're not going to have it. They're going to stop it any way they can. They're going to have lobbyists lobbying all kinds of branches, that they possibly can get into.
Chip, can you read that?
Hey, Charlie Zabarinsky says, hey, I beg to differ. SEC is under a 5-year statute of limitations right now. In the 5,900-page bill not signed by Trump, I think it's page 1218, the SEC statute was to be changed 10 years ago. Actually, I read the precedent where it did. It says, and again, we showed it on a live stream the other day, which is fine. I'm saying it's not going to matter. They're going to say, hey, what's up, Tony, from Thinking Crypto. There he is. HODL, XRP, right, and everything else too. So, but that's not going to factor in this. You go back 5 years, doesn't matter. They can hammer them on what happened in 2015. They can hammer them on what happened in 2016. The complaint's well within the region. You can't go back. They're alleging stuff from 2012, 2013, and there's a lot of discovery with emails and everything else. So it doesn't really. I think you're right, in Charlie, in saying that there is a statute of limitations. We read it on the show the other day, and I can pull it up again. And it's probably good to pull it up because there was a precedent set in another case. I think it was a 2013 case or maybe a 2003 case. I forget which. But the point of it is that it doesn't matter. There's enough there from 2015, 2016, 2017, talking about the founders, the CEO, former CEO, because Larson used to be the CEO, enriching themselves, funding the project. But what they're missing in the whole thing is that these things are separated. That what happens with XRP is out of the control of Ripple. Ripple cannot control what the price is, and because of that, that's where a lot of their case is going to fall apart. You don't have an investment contract, and people, I mean, how many people right now think that when they were buying XRP, they were buying some kind of a stock or a share in the company Ripple? Anybody? No.
Come on.
No, nobody did.
No. Well, especially
Really?
Chip, it goes back to the point that back in 2012, 2013, it was a lot harder to buy a digital asset than it is now, especially XRP. I get in 2017 into XRP, and I had to buy it from Bitstamp, which was outside the US, and that was the easiest point of entry, but you couldn't buy directly. So you had to go to, Bitcoin or another digital asset first, move that over, or you buy it on that platform, and then swap it out, do an exchange for XRP, and so it was even more difficult. So knowing as you're going through that process, you obviously know that you're not, on a regular, you're not buying stock. I mean, come on, anyone who thinks otherwise, but I think part of that complaint also is that they're alleging that Ripple was funding their project with it, so I think it gets a lot, deeper into it. But, Channing, when you got into it, when you were getting into XRP, I mean, what was that experience like for you?
Well, actually, a good buddy of mine, Israel Anderson, I hope he's on right now. It was one of my coworkers. He told me about it. I heard about Bitcoin like maybe 10 years ago. I didn't know how to get involved. But when he told me about a new technology, that's one of the things that got me excited. And as a healthcare professional, we know what technologies are. I remember over 20 years, I've been in radiology for over 20 years. I remember actually dipping the film from the x-ray that I would take into Emotion, and I had to hang it up. So I saw that transition from going to Kodak to digital. Inside the hospital, we also do some procedures that are extremely rare, maybe some procedures that were done in Europe. And now they've actually brought it here to the States. And, I had the privilege to actually be in on some of those surgeries. So I saw, from a person, just a healthcare professional, I saw how some of these technologies were working, and I invested in some of these technologies. I bought some of the stocks of the companies like Edwards Life Science, and I've done really well with it. So when Israel, my man, when he told me about there was a new technology that I need to get involved in, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look into it. And then that's how I found out about XRP and some of the other digital assets.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of people have a similar experience. You start researching into the digital asset, and I think that's really a factor in this entire case. When it boils down to it, the SEC, I think, is really missing a huge point with all of that. And again, going back to that 2013 time frame, I think they're a little bit misled. Chip, I know you want to bring something up, but I saw somebody point something up here that the SEC isn't getting into a case to lose. But I think, to me, going back to all of this, regardless of what the objective is of the SEC, I think that this case was needed at this point in time. We need regulatory clarity. We know that Brian Brooks talked about regulatory clarity. We're moving in the direction of regulatory clarity, and you can't have regulatory clarity with this cloud hanging over our heads in the crypto space at large. So this action isn't necessarily just the SEC going after Ripple and going after XRP. This action is the SEC going after the crypto space in general, because however the case outcome is, it's going to set the tone and set the precedent for other cryptocurrency and blockchain projects that are in the space now and in the future. Chip.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I just want to bring this up because Charlie brought it up, but we did talk about this the other day. This is the Supreme Court clarified the scope of the 5-year statute of limitation and SEC enforcement proceedings. This is from 2013. You can download the PDF, but this is Gabelli versus the SEC. They clarified the applicable Limitations applicable to SEC enforcement actions that seek financial penalties. So that's part of it too. It's like if you're looking at a financial penalty, begins to accrue when the alleged violation and the SEC discovers the violation. Okay, so that's always up in arms too. Like, when did they really discover the violation? I don't know. I don't know that we know. I mean, I don't think it's in the complaint, although I could be wrong. Decision may have implications not only for SEC enforcement actions, but also for other proceedings seeking a civil fine, penalty, or forfeiture. So I go on a little bit more to talk about this. The case here where in Gabelli, the SEC charged the CEO, former portfolio manager of an investment advisor, with secretly allowing a favored investor to market time a mutual fund while publicly stating that the fund did not tolerate market timing. So, and I guess this went back to what, 99 or blah blah. So let's reverse the district court's dismissal. Second Circuit Court held the discovery rule, which applies to violations. So I mean, that's it. There's also a unanimous opinion penned by Chief Justice Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court, rejected the Second Circuit's application of the first rule. So there's a lot going into this. What I'm saying is that a lot of it has to do with when it was actually discovered, And then look, so this is the Howie mansion right here. This guy was a big baller up in and this is what the mansion fell into disrepair. And I do remember reading about this. Never connected the dots, but it sat there for a long time and it was just kind of dilapidated. And this couple came in and bought it for $500,000. And this is what it looked like. It was just like really vines growing all over it. Parts of the roof were missing and stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what they were.
He wasn't just an orange farmer.
No, but it's funny that they have in the logo the little orange, the logo here, the Howie mansion. So this was built in 25. And so one of the things they wanted to do is they wanted to leave, like they could have painted it all white or they wanted to leave, they just pressure clean it. So a lot of that old funkiness and discoloring is still there.
Man, it's awesome. That's
right?
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
And then let's see, where is the gallery here? Yeah, so you can see this place is crazy. So now really what is like a destination wedding type place where you can have it in the courtyard, but you got to give them a lot of credit because they cleaned this place up. It looks beautiful now.
And that's really cool too. I mean, the history of it, right? I mean, think about this is the house of the guy behind the Howie test, and they may or may not even know. People that walk
or do they care, Jeff?
They probably don't care.
But there's some pretty banging weddings going on here, man. I'm like, look at the pictures alone. I mean, just phenomenal, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's great. They restored all these old rooms and some of the original woodwork that they still had in there.
Nice.
So it's a pretty cool thing. Anyway, I thought
very cool, very very cool. Hey, so this is from Charlie Zabrinsky, and he's given some credit to DAI on this idea. He said, "Do you realize that with the Spark airdrop, Ripple knows who owns 95% of all XRP. SEC is empowered to force a company to pay out to holders who were injured."
There won't be any holders injured. What is it? I mean, so are you alleged? Yeah. So yeah. It's hard to get a little bit of clarification on this. So the Spark airdrop, Ripple knows who owns 95% of all XRP.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe there's something Charlie needs to elaborate a little bit. I'm missing something.
Elaborate on that.
Charlie. If you could elaborate a little bit more, but I don't know that Ripple knows who owns it, but obviously the wallet addresses. I mean, the wallet address is already out there anyways. So I think you look it up and you can see that whatever percent, you know where the other XRP is because Ripple, has 55 billion in escrow, and the rest, you can look at, can look it up.
Read that, Jeff. Spot on.
The Howie test is outdated. We need the Ripple test. Somebody earlier brought up that, how do you have another test? How do they create a Ripple test? The Howie test,
crypto,
became a Howie test only because of the outcome of the court case. Now, I'm not saying you can't. I don't know if you can create another test, but I'm just saying, but that's how the Howie test was created. The SEC sued Howie the farmer. There was an outcome. They liked it, and that all of a sudden it became the Howie test. Not sure, the Ripple test. I'm sure once this lawsuit ends, the SEC against Ripple, there will be some sort of an outcome, so that's the anticipation. So we get that ruling, and then from that point forward, I think whether they decide to call it the Ripple test or not, who knows, but it will be a case precedent that will be used in future cases. So at some point, maybe it will be called that. Interesting.
Yeah, I like WB's take. It's just a nuisance lawsuit.
Yeah, and we've seen companies like Ripple, they allow certain situations with certain lawsuits to go down to set a precedent. For instance, the NAACP and other religious organizations, they've allowed certain lawsuits to go up to some of the highest courts to actually, get a ruling. Let's see what it is. Hey, let's get some glass mirrors in here and actually look into this thing and see whether or not it's a security or it's actually a currency or commodity or what, because I was thinking it was really interesting when I saw Charles from Cardano actually step up, because a lot of these other companies are seeing that the dagger in this laser beam isn't just on Ripple, it's actually on many of the other companies too. You think about Cardano or Algorand or and now one thing that really trips me out, you think about the ruling and you think about how ETH and Bitcoin are in the okay. Now what happens now when you have Ethereum 2.0 and you go from proof of work to proof of stake? Now what happens? Are we still currency? What do you guys think?
Now you're bringing up some really killer points there, because the whole currency, the altcoin marketplace as a whole, I don't care what they deemed about Ether. If they're going to come back and change it, they go like, oh, now that we're looking into this a little closer. But you're right, you're bringing up a good point. I do think there's a lot at stake in this, but I do feel pretty confident. You never know how it's going to go in a court case these days. You never know if it gets elevated. What's going to happen, right? Because this was filed in New York and Manhattan, and you've got now you hear that Clayton's moving to Manhattan as a prosecutor. So is he not going to prosecute this case? He's not on there, but I'm wondering what they could change that, right? They named the attorneys in the suit that are going to be representing it. They already have the judge assigned. But yeah, I mean, you're right. What about 2.0? And how is that going to change? You're no longer mining it, because Bitcoin, you could always say, well, it was a different sort of format. And I'm even wondering, when is 2.0 working now? I mean, I thought they had some sort of thing that where it was in the works, and I feel like it didn't go live. But you're right. What about that? Now that they changed the way Ether works.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's live or not. I was reading about it. I think it was. I don't know. But regardless, you can really, the argument is the same. We brought it up the other day that if you look at Ethereum, even if you look at it, as the foundation, or even if you want to apply it back to the Stellar, organization, Stellar is a nonprofit, still releasing the XLM digital asset. What would the difference be? If they're using XLM to raise funds, if they're selling XLM from the company, or however it gets distributed, then this case, again, it impacts so much more. So regardless of what how the SEC originally looked at ETH, and they can say, hey, that's a currency. Oh, well, by the way, now let's say the outcome of this case is that XRP is a security. Well, the ramification is going to be massive, in the US. And again, one of the things that we're concerned about is that we're very focused, hyper-focused on what's going on in the US. But there's a significant amount of XRP digital asset that's being bought and sold on a global scale. And this is also, you think about, whatever the outcome of this court case is, it's going to have a direct impact on the development of this space in the United States. I mean, this could either be something that's going to put the U.S. on the map as a leader in this space, or it's going to put the U.S. on the map as a follower in this space. And this really can have, a major impact. And I think that's something that we have to, kind of hyper focus in on, because we already know, as we talked about before, Rashida Tlaib with a couple other Democrat representatives were trying to present a bill on stable coins that would potentially be detrimental to the space, to the growth of the space, the development of the technology. It was a major setback. We're talking about giving, the control over to the banking industry 100%. Banks aren't innovating. They're not developing technology. So basically they're saying, hey, the stable coins reached a certain apex. Now we're going to give it all to the banks and let them destroy it. But yet the rest of the world's not going to have, they're not going to have the same limitations. So the rest of the world's going to say, hey, screw the U.S. They're on the back burner for right now. We're going to keep developing. The U.S. is going to start dragging when it comes to a leader, position in the development of the blockchain, especially the digital asset space. And we see what's going on. And just one point to get some feedback from you guys on this. And I thought this was really interesting because this was published a month ago. Let me just pull it up real quick. And I think it's super relevant, to this conversation. Because here's something, this was on NASDAQ. Hang on, let me get rid of this. This is on NASDAQ, but the U.S. intelligence chief raises concerns with the SEC over China's crypto dominance. Now, does this case, depending on what the outcome of this case, let's say it's negative, is that going to help the case of China's dominance in the crypto space, or is it going to make it worse? And I think that is, an extremely important point, to focus in on, because right now we're at a crossroads, and our crossroads means that we have, from our perspective, everyone watching us from another country, whether you're in Australia or wherever, you're saying, hey, we've already overcome this. If you guys don't rule on it the right way, we've ruled on it. We're going to keep moving forward. But from our perspective, anyways, what do you guys think? I'll start with Channing, get some feedback, and then.
It in this litigation too, one of the things that really strikes me is the whole thing when it comes to remittances. In the litigation, you notice that they basically stated that Ripple, or actually the currency XRP, doesn't really have a true utility. And one of the things I brought up, I saw this. I want to show this with everyone here. Let's see. I feel like I'm becoming a whiz with this stuff.
It's good, right?
But inside, under Cointelegraph, no, it wasn't. Was it this one?
Yeah, there you go.
Let me see here. Actually, let me pull up another one here.
Yeah, while you're doing that,
the actual lawyer. Yeah, here we go. The Mexican fintech lawyer analyzes SEC. Here we are. This is in Herald Sheets. Mexican fintech lawyer analyzes SEC's major point against XRP and why it is unnecessary. So here in this article, they mention how, here we go. Additional uses appeared through the years, including ability to loan and or to stake XRP and obtain yields, including the possibility to borrow XRP, as well as the ability to make online payments through payment aggregators. And the truth is that since the creation of XRP, every XRP holder has had the immediate possibility to use the asset for a variety of things. In fact, speculation is something that came to XRP after the asset was already useful for many other purposes. So there is a use case when it comes to the technology here.
There is, yeah. And that's not how they documented inside when you actually look inside the complaint, they say that they created this digital asset and they were sitting around wondering what they might do with it. In 2015, it was magical. They decided to actually, they had a use case. It was going to be cross-border payments, and like they knew about this from early days. So, and then one of the other things that I find comical, and this just goes to show you from people outside the space. I mean, we're in it all a day, and we know it. We're like XRP, and we know on-demand liquidity and all these other crazy. So they said the first two products they launched didn't use the digital asset, and because their game plan was to try to go up against SWIFT, It's a little bit different in the way they were looking at it. They're trying to go against Swift. It's a messaging system. They were trying to have a competing product, but it would ultimately up the game. And with the whole ideal of shifting them over to like an on-demand liquidity, right? Because they had X-Rapid, and I can never even keep them straight. I'm so glad that they simplified it. But they were saying because they created this digital asset that had a use case, but it didn't appear in the first two products. And I think they go up as far as maybe 2016, 2017. But, that's why I think that the cannot wait to get in court to fight this thing. That's kind of what I see. I don't know. I feel like they're really looking hard for that.
And here's another point. I mean, and this is SPO. Does anyone really think XRP is a security with BG sitting in the room with all the banking leaders of the world?
Good job.
And that's a great point. But this is where this becomes political. It kind of goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, and I think that's going to make a really interesting deep dive on this topic. To look at a good comparison between the political aspect that Chip brought up earlier of the Howie test. What happened in that Howie case. Why was he singled out at that point in time? And now that conversation can really go in a lot of different directions. We might never know but to analyze it from that perspective could be really interesting. So here we are, Brad Garlinghouse with all the banking leaders of the world. They know the power of the technology. We talked about this earlier, but for Ripple to go after Swift isn't going to go down quietly, and when you get to that level, Swift also is it's a conglomerate of a lot of different banks. A lot of banks around the world are part of the Swift network, and banks are a very powerful lobbyist group in Washington. And that's kind of where it leads. So if you control the purse strings in Washington, you kind of can push things in the direction of your choosing, and that's part of it. But then it comes back. I say, hey, for good or bad, whether or not you have these guys, even if the banks are behind it, hey, you know what? If the case is solid and Ripple is that confident in the way they're presenting it, then they should come out ahead in this, and they're going to come out and say, look, XRP is not a security. This is what happened. Here's the facts. The case is being presented. Here's what the outcome is going to be. And again, I think so much of this focus to me, this is the right time. Timing's interesting. Right time, right place. And we need this resolution for this space, and we need it for the U.S. I think it's really important right now.
Yeah, and this isn't hopium. You know what I mean? We're not trying to make this currency work, right? We're not trying to edge up something and try to say, hey, look, let's see how we can make this company work right? Hopium, right? Look, if we look at the statistics, look at the remittances in Philippines and in Mexico. I have several friends in Mexico. Over 10% of remittances are going through Mexico right now. Now, to the average person, let's say if you're an American, that may not mean anything. But you can just imagine if you're just a field worker, or you're just over here, you're on a DACA visa, you barely have anything. You're living in a home with maybe 8 or 10 people, right? And you're working out in the field. A quarter of your payments are going back to remittances. That is significant. If you're trying to send $100 back to Mexico or the Philippines or some other country, and a quarter of it is taken away from you, that's a quarter of your life being taken away from you. So people aren't really looking at these small payments, seeing how Ripple actually functions over 1,500 transactions within a second, right? That's close to Visa. That's pretty significant. It's really helping the planet when you think about it. And under this Byzantine thing, it's not with the proof of work, right? We see the tech. I can understand why a lot of these banks feel threatened, but you're going to have to assimilate, right? What was it? Star Trek with the Borg?
Yeah, resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile, man. Just get with the program, work with the system, and see how the system will help you. The system can actually help some of these banks.
Yeah. Hey, Berserker's talking about the Moonium.
I like Moonium. I like this comment here. Jimmy Douglas, PT. He says timing is such a coincidence. Tether, Bitfinex, all happening in a similar time frame. I was watching there was one analyst who was on Yahoo News, and he was just going off on Bitcoin, saying that it's going to crash because once Tether's exposed, and the whole idea, he brought the whole idea of the China thing happening. One of the things he said like this whole thing is about ready to blow up. And I was like, I'm trying to decide, is it an old, codger, like just going a little like, is he going all Warren Buffett on us, going, Bitcoin, it's not good, it's all garbage, or is he like, and I'm like, so part of me is like, I might have a point here. I'm like, oh, he's crazy old bastard. I'm like, well, he might have a point. Sometimes you watch something, you're trying to figure it out. But what I'm realizing, Jeff, and I don't want to get too political, but I'm going deep. Gonna go deep. Throw me the pass. Throw me the Hail Mary in the end zone. Let me do this, right?
Go. There you go.
Let me go for it. No, what I'm starting to realize is how compromised and what a job China has done on us as a country, on the U.S. But it's not just the U.S. It's a lot of countries in Europe. I look at what they did in Italy. I mean, you look at one of the big first exposures there. I'm not going to get down rabbit holes, but you also look at the UK. Look, you look at what's happening with Australia right now, right? It's like they're doing a job on everybody, okay? And I think there's so much is compromised. When I talk about government officials, government agencies, and when you have I'm wearing it, Jimmy. It's on. But that's why I'm not going to go too deep.
That's your Jimmy hat.
Yeah, but when you start looking at it from a standpoint of infiltration, going in, and it didn't happen over 5 years, 10 years, 15. It was 20. They always play the long game, I always get worried if I try to buy something on Amazon. I don't know where it's coming from. It's a knockoff product. Like you have to do so much research to figure out is this. I do the research. Who does? Most people click, and you bought it, and it shows up in a day or two, at your house. But I think that I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of compromised everything. Everything's been compromised. How is it that you've got DNI Radcliffe who's saying, hey, man, I got a lot of concern about what's happening over in China. And then you got the SEC basically, in a sense, and this kind of comes back to what you were saying, sort of bringing it back around and stifling that innovation. You've got people who are relying on a service that's offered, you got 20% of the remittances going into Mexico. They're relying on this. This is like a lifeblood for them. Their families back in the Philippines and anytime, and now they just cut it off. Snip, like the ramifications of all of the things, the big market, the other day I read a bunch of tweets about, about a guy that said he lost his life savings. He went from all the way down. He said what it would take him to rebuild that, and when the market dropped. But it wasn't just XRP, it's everything, because this affects the whole marketplace. So when you have all this fear, uncertainty, this doubt going on, and here I'm here to say that, look, Jeff, you're right on about this thing. This had to happen. The timing is great. We don't need a 2-3 year dragged on case. I think this can get solved really fast. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think this one gets solved fast?
Man, I really hope it is. I really hope it's going to be solved quickly. I don't see why it would drag on too far. The SEC, what are they going to build their case based off of? And I think, here Charlie brought up a point here. Ripple singled out because it embodies all factors. The test will be all encompassing for the crypto space. Big complaint, big well-financed defense. This case has it all. Not that Ripple is bad. It does. It really touches all points here because, for the SEC to go after anybody, the SEC went after Kick, and Kick, was determined it was a security. But you know what? It kind of was a security. Coming right out of the bat, what was the whole point of Kin? Kin was kind of the finance their project, and then it was supposed to be part of the ecosystem of the Kick platform and some of the things that they were doing with their social media platform. But Kick also became very antagonistic against the SEC. They kept poking him in the eye. What do they think the outcome was going to be when you're poking the bear in the eye with a stick? In this case, though, this is all encompassing because Ripple, unlike all these other projects, has a lobbyist arm. Ripple has outreach to the congressional offices. It has outreach in government. It has outreach in the banking space. Why? Because Ripple works with banks. So although they're in direct, competition with Swift, they're working with all of these entities, with all these organizations. What's the one thing that banks want to do the most? They want to, spend little money and make a lot of money. That's what banks want to do, and that's what Ripple is offering them, through their solution with ODL. It's like, oh, wait, I can pull back all my millions and millions of dollars they're sitting, stagnant in bank accounts and Nostro accounts, all over the world. Okay, hey, I can take them back, and I can still find liquidity through your ODL and move money and all that stuff. Banks like it, but a lot of banks were hesitant to, in my opinion, to touch it, mainly because of the lack of regulatory clarity and also the big question mark on using XRP, as they're not sure, this question of it being a security or not doesn't really impact the banks if they're using the ODL. It does if it's in the hands of the retail, holder. So this is a big play, in my opinion, again, to shake out weak hands, get the retail. And I said this, a long time ago, and I said it earlier on the show, but, I firmly believe that the banking industry, they don't want retail holders in this space. They want, if this is as the Bitcoin maxis called it, XRP is the banker's coin. Well, you know what? The bankers don't want anyone else touching their coin.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Amen.
Well said, Jeff. Hey, so Chip, hey man, what's going on? You didn't get the email? You don't see how fly we look?
Man,
what happened there, man?
Well, I saw it right away, and I thought, man, I always wear black. It's an ode to Johnny Cash. I like the it's just my thing. I always wear dark colors and stuff. But you guys came on here looking twinners and all that. And I was like, what's going on?
First thing, Chip,
because then the other thing I have to do is I'm like, shave my head. I'm like, shave my head, put on the right shirt. You know what I mean?
Get with the program.
So calling it out.
Were we ever going to talk about a little bit of Flair finance at all? No.
Batman. Yeah, Batman.
So this is funny because last week on the roundtable, we told Channing, we're going to talk about Flair. We said, hey, this is awesome. You got a lot of information prepared on this. Be awesome to have you on the show to talk specifically about Flair finance and all that stuff. And we got a little bit sidetracked last week, and we're going to talk about it this week. And, we obviously there's a lot going on with this SEC case versus Ripple. So we thought that this would be a great topic, which means that, Channing has to come back on again.
You might have, he's going to have to, we should rotate in, but I think the timing of all this too. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this too, Channing, like what we were just talking about there, because man, there's so much to unpack here, really, isn't there? I mean, there's so much going on with this thing, man. Channing with the Flair.
I appreciate it, Jimmy. Oh, you're a PT also. Cool. There's so much really happening in this space when it comes to the Spark drop, probably starting in January, February. What do you guys think? Are they going to say that's a security also?
No,
in connection with the Flair networks and Flair finance airdrop off of an airdrop. What's going to happen here in the near future? I'm really looking forward to seeing this. But yeah, just saying what we can do in this space is going to be really exciting. 2021 looks to be an awesome year. And something, if Jay Clayton was listening into this discussion, I just want to thank him, because right now he's helping me stack my bags, and retirement is actually looking a little bit closer now since I've been able to stack my bags. So come on, Jay, if you need a hug, man, I'll give you a kick in the butt, keep it moving, brother. But, thank you seriously, because a lot of people, one of the things, I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you guys have, because you guys are super professional here, man. Thinking about the Vice Win XRP rich list.
Yeah.
Did you notice how the dip happened with the retail investors? Institutional investors are the main ones picking it up. They're just scooping it up,
Always.
and us
Right.
retail investors, we're just selling it, weak hands, like you said, Jeff, hands are still, keep the hands are still, huddle strong,
Yep,
like Tony
that's right.
said.
That's right. So before we move into that, Channing, so you brought it up. You brought it out there. Can Flair be considered a security? Yeah, I think that's or the Spark token. I think that's really relevant. Interesting. I think that's what who was it that brought that up? Was that Charles or Charlie? Was bringing that up earlier. But now we have this airdrop coming. What happens with Flair? What happens with Spark? What there's so much out. So now if you're are holding XRP, now all of a sudden you get that airdrop. I don't know. I mean, I guess time will tell. We don't even know what's going to happen yet. They haven't even dropped it yet, and they haven't really developed anything.
Well, I heard
in the use.
I heard that don't tell anybody this, because I know it's just us, but I heard that Flair was going to go ahead and use that the Flair the Spark token to fund their operation, and then they were going to go ahead and create investment contracts. I mean, I'm just sorry about that, man. But that's I think I'm more concerned about the financial dropping. Suppose you get 15%, right, and then 3 or 7 or 8, 20 years later, something like that, you get the rest of them. You're like, okay, so you got 15%, and the other 85% you're waiting on. And when do you get it dropped? Right when it's worth I don't know, maybe it's worth $10 each, and you're like, oh my God, because you get taxed immediately. So you get that, you're like, thank you, because you get that tax hit right off the bat. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think,
and unfortunately, I got a chance to talk to my CPA recently, and he mentioned that any airdrops, like you guys probably already know, they're taxable. So in 2021, we're going to have to pay for those taxes. In 2022, you're taxing you when you get hit, and taxing you after you cash them in the USD too. So it is what it is. But I'm just happy to get them. But was it Crypto Aries? She was saying that in India they're using them. It's about $2.30 right now, roughly. So
what is?
Yeah, looking forward to January and February, man.
What's $2?
Yeah, it was.
What is?
Yeah, so some people were actually saying that in India, in areas like Singapore, this is rumored that the Spark each were actually worth about $2.30. So, let's see what happens. Here in the near future. It's really exciting times here.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, from an economic perspective, on a global scale. I think there's a lot, there's a lot riding on the rollout in the digital currency space. Japan is moving closer and closer to digital currency. India, I think, they're having some struggle right now. When it comes to the digital asset space. I heard they just arrested some. I think they were Chinese nationals that were arrested in India because they were doing some micro loan program in India. They had some app, or they were doing something. There's going to be a lot of different things like this that are going to be circulating as we move forward in this space. And we're so hyper focused on a lot of this conversation on what's going on in the U.S., but in reality, so much of this is going on everywhere else in the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, innovation-wise, what are they doing? What is this really about? Well, what it's really about is let's let China take the lead. Let's let them lead on the CBDCs, on the crypto, on the mining part of it, because a lot of it was alleged that even the Ether was being mined over there as well. And let's just stifle the innovation here. And again, we brought this up last week, but the whole idea, or maybe it was this week, they all blend together. But the whole idea of if what would have happened when if Bill Clinton's the administration said, hey, and Congress came together and said, we're not going to regulate, we're not going to overregulate this, we're not going to regulate the the internet when it came out. They were like, because they were trying to put all these weird regulations and make stuff happen. The problem with that is that was a very good thing. By now, I'm not overregulating. So now we get this new thing called crypto. We're going back to a 1946 ruling, which then references a 1933, law. I mean, well, what are we dealing with here? I mean, so they're stifling innovation, and we have. I mean, some of us are lucky to have lived through two of the greatest periods, the birth of the internet and the birth of the digital assets. It's just a massive play, right? To have both of these in a scenario where you're like, whoa, these are like back to back. It's like immediately after that, you got a new asset class, first one in over 400 years, a brand new asset class, and they're going to go back to 1946 to an Orange Grove founder, and they're going to go back to 1933. So, Jeff, you're right, and I think, and when you say that this is long overdue. We needed this now. This is the time to drop it. We're getting regulations anyway, because I'm almost wondering what's going to happen, because you saw that Brooks said that we're getting regulations in, what was it, 6 to 8 weeks? Something like that?
That's what he said, yeah. Yep.
So is he going to conflict with the SEC now? Is he going to put out some counter? All right, we have the Department of Justice, not a security. We have FinCEN, not a security. We have SEC. Oh, it's a security. So come on, we gotta get this worked out.
So here's something interesting. As we see this development in this space, so we have the SEC doing whatever they're doing, and yet, and it's funny, Jimmy brought this up, but Wyoming is one of the few states that has become crypto friendly. And I just, so you have the crack and bake over there, but he says, I'll be buying a ranch in Wyoming, driving to the crack and bank and scanning the QRS, so, but that's the case, so here we have, if we're moving towards regulatory clarity, is the SEC opening up a case where, either, again, I mean, you could, do they not know what their objective is here? Do they not know what the outcome is going to be, or do they know exactly what the outcome is going to be, meaning that they're either trying to destroy the crypto space and destroy the U.S. Leadership role in the crypto space, or they're trying to achieve complete regulatory clarity by bringing the suit now, the timing of it, we need an outcome, so we won't know, it's hard. I don't know if we'll ever know what that is. We can keep going back on that, but here's critical complex channel XRP information and updates. It's a good thing the SEC only has the power to fine and not the power to enforce laws. That's a great point. And by the way, this is the name of the channel too, I believe, right? Critical Complex Channel XRP information and updates. So throw a link up to your channel there. That'd be great.
I don't think he can, but you know what? Send me a DM and I'll throw it up there, because he just started a channel. I think it's great. But yeah,
Whoa,
you guys know
on his way to India after the show to cash out.
Oh, nice. So so David XRP, you guys know him here because he's been on the show too. He came on the show and he started a channel. And I always applaud anybody that starts a channel. I think it's great to hear as many voices as possible. And I think also too, I know he has a blog. David has a blog too, which is really good. He's coming from a very grounded point. He's not a hopium. He's not, he's not all like, I mean, he's laying out cases, which is what I like. I like a little more critical thinking. I think that we all should do that. So that critical complex channel, I almost think it should be critical thinking, because I see you do a lot of that. You raise a lot of questions, and the video you put out was a good one, solid one. And yeah, hit me up on the Twitter and the Twitters. Hit me on the Twitter, then I'll throw it up there. David XRP.
Hey, we're getting getting more. I love seeing our followers from the UK. Did you know that
beautiful.
Our number 2 viewership is Australia. So US, Australia, UK, those are in the top 3. Russia is actually in the top 5. We've got Netherlands, We've got India. It's interesting when you start breaking down the viewership. But the UK is in the top 3, which is great.
Is anybody out there in India? Can they confirm the $2.30 for the Spark?
I think I posted that before that he'd thrown it up there, that it's being traded on IOUs at that price point. But that's kind of crazy. I don't know how you can trade on IOUs when something doesn't even exist yet. And so they're I don't know, but Jimmy's saying that Crypto Eddie had confirmed that. Oh, where'd it go? There you go. Confirmed a few weeks ago that was it. So we got Steve Willits over here from Australia. What else do we have? Here we go.
What's great about that, Jeff, is the fact is that, that's why I'm going to start doing these. I'm going to do a daytime stream tomorrow, probably around noonish. So
awesome.
That it's more, because, we have this viewership and they're just loyal as all hell. 2, 3 in the morning. Sir John's up. I think it's like 3 in the morning over there when this show starts, and he's on here. So it's a really it's pretty impressive.
Yep, Darcy. We only allow you. Yeah, nobody else.
That's our one true fan right there.
From Ireland.
From Ireland, dealing with the whole lockdown scenarios.
Oh yeah.
Hey David XRP, throw the DM in there because I can't get to your YouTube channel. But any Huska. But no, I mean the conversation is going to continue all week. Crypto wasn't meant for retail. Yeah, it wasn't meant for retail. Sir John 3:16 right there, baby. John 3:6. Oh wait a minute, made the John part up myself. But that's okay. But I love it. 3:16. Holy cow.
IOUs. So that's how the banks. Yeah, the banks do it that way. Yep. Talking about on the peer-to-peer side, or that's if you're not in the banking space, I guess.
Matt Hamilton's in here. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, man. That's our resident genius right there. And we'd love to have you on the show, Matt, if we can work out the timing, man. We'd love to get you on the show. I know we'd love to get your opinions on all this and this whole thing.
Here we go. Here's another one there. The high on the IU was about $2.48 on the Gaota exchange, and then down to like 0.03 cents. Polynex is trading IOU and Bitra will. That's it. Interesting. All right.
Polynex is one of the other ones. So Polynex, Circle. These are companies, U.S. companies that left the building, and I do think in a certain way Ripple wasn't going after the SEC, but when they're putting like full page ads in saying, guys, we want clarity, they're like screaming, like opening the windows in San Francisco, clarity, we need it. And so they've been on this whole thing, and they got fined early from FinCEN. And they paid the fine, and they've been working with regulators ever since. So, in order to really make this happen on a good level, this is the place. It had to happen right now. Here we go. Okay, I finally got his channel. Boom.
And that brings up a really good question on BitTrue. Weren't we supposed to have our IOU Spark tokens at the end of the month? I believe that's what they promised us. BitTrue.
On BitTrue?
What's going on, BitTrue?
Well, BitTrue created that IOU one. Well, I'm not sure, man. BitTrue's kind of like pulling back on this whole thing. They're not letting any U.S. anybody because of the whole credit card issue, right? Buying something that's in question. And it's going to be interesting to see what Coinbase is trying to do this IPO. So you got a whole regulatory body right there with the SEC, right? Trying to do things, cross your T's and dot your I's. So I don't know if they'll suspend it. We'll see. Yeah, again, I think this was in the works for much, much longer than what we know. So, yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna put in the chat right there. Please go follow David XRP. Just started a new channel. It's always tough when you first get started. What does he have? He's got 43 subs right now. He's got a big voice.
Jump in there and sub. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I went ahead and put it in there, guys. So if you want to go over there, and he's a good voice. You guys already know him from Twitter. He puts a lot of good stuff out there. So it's nice of him to follow it up with the channel. So
yeah, and then just a quick shout out here for Channing as well. Channing actually runs a podcast.
Let's put that in there. I'm gonna throw that in there as well.
You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah,
give everyone just a brief on your podcast.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, guys. So Vessel Art is a Doorway is a podcast that my wife and we started earlier this year at the beginning of the pandemic. Basically, in this podcast, we talk about how art and the brain are connected. How when we come across a piece of art, whether it be, let's say, a mural of Kobe Bryant, when we see it, how does that make us feel? In extension, we can't quantify the impact that art has on the community. For instance, you can put up a mural and it attracts like dozens of people, if not millions of people coming into a space. When that happens, it stimulates the local businesses, whether they be restaurants or stores, clothing stores, different things like that. Art brings people together, whether it be music, whether it be architecture, sculpture. I'm an artist myself. I do a sculpture work, and also I'm a ceramist, potter. But the impact that art can have on the community is big, and that's one of the things that we do each week. We interview TED Talk speakers, we interview scientists, ceramists like myself, painters. For instance, we had Eric Joyner. I don't know if you guys know him. He's the artist that does Robots and Donuts. He's a pretty cool artist, and we interview people inside the galleries. Yeah. And, we just want to get into the space of what it is like to actually have a art piece. What is it like when you see an art piece and it moves you? People, they take this stuff for granted. So that's one of the things we dig in deep in our podcast. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of laughs. And then we jump in on crypto occasionally. In season 2, we're gonna really open that up, talk to some people even in the XRP community, get them on the show, and focus in on how cryptos, for instance, like NFTs, ERC20 tokens on Uniswap is actually selling art. The impact that actually art can have on the community is big. And that's one of the things, that we really enjoy. And I'm really interested to see how the cryptocurrency space is adopting the art world. They're actually colliding right now. There's a lot of articles that are coming out, and it's really exciting, really exciting. So, hey guys, come to the show, come check us out.
That sounds awesome. So I threw it in there. I'll probably put it up again, but guys, go check it out. It's always great. We love. So Crypto Siege is in here as well. I threw that up on my my personal one, but go follow him as well. He does it. He does a crypto focused, mostly on XRP. So go check that out. So it's really great, the talent we have. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like, in a way, this is our own art, right? This the conversation we have. I'm an artist too. I spent 20 years as a creative director, worked on some cool stuff. I got to do some cool stuff in life and work on some cool TV shows. And, I got to tell you, when I'm not creating, I'm dying. Just me. I got to be creating something. I got to be sitting at my computer, creating something, doing something, working on something with my hands. Because otherwise I go into a deep, dark depression. That's bad, man. That's like crypto winter right in my brain, So you have to have that. So I really relate, Channing, to what you're talking about. I listened to one of your podcasts. You guys are onto something really unique here, because there's such an impact. It's hard to quantify it, but people get a feeling. And one of the things that I like to do is, anytime I've been fortunate to be able to travel to a lot of different countries, first thing I want to do is I want to find the galleries. Where are the galleries? I want to go check it out. I want to see the period art. I want to go look at the stuff, because to me, that's like, and a lot of times, as work or whatever, you don't get a chance to do that. But when you look at the artwork, and sometimes they'll roll in some special just thing that they're promoting that like for a month or 2 weeks or something. There's something great about it, And two people look at the same art. One person's like, "Man, that might be the greatest piece of art I've ever seen," and one's like, "That's the worst thing I've ever seen." Right? So, it's the other. The eye is, the art, the whole in the eye of the beholder is something to that. And guess what? We have that with the crypto market. I mean, you have these companies that wanted to come out there and solve a problem. They saw there was an issue. They saw, hey, this Swift thing's not working out. Bitcoin's a little bit slow and clunky. We don't, might not have been finished. And what do? They bring in, XRP becomes really, in a sense, Bitcoin 2.0, fixes some of the issues with it. The ledger is just a huge part of that. So this is the kind of innovation that's getting stifled by cases like what the SEC is doing. This over-regulation and just like throw it all out. Forget about the Howie test. Forget about this. It always comes down to one thing, and I don't care what country you live in. There's one thing that they want from you, and that's taxes. They want your money, man. They want to figure out, how do they tax it? How do they get it? How do they take a little bit of it from you? It's like, In the beginning, they were like, oh, we don't care about Bitcoin, but it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then they started saying, well, it's just imagine all the bad things being done with it. It never will eclipse the bad things being done with fiat. Never. So I just, you have to catch 2,000 a year to catch up with that, right? You got to go back to the Romans and gold and silver, you know. So anyway, that was my rant.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And,
Hey, I just want to just give a shout out real quick to everybody that's on here. Any of the new viewers that we have that haven't subbed yet, if you like the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That definitely helps us out. And we have a ton of great content coming this week. We're really going to try to break up and get into the different aspects of this SEC versus Ripple case. I think it's a critical topic that we keep analyzing and discussing. And we also have another channel. If you go to the other channel, we go over there, we post shorter videos. You can find a lot of that in the description below. You can also see a direct link to Channing's podcast down below, information on that. But what's important this week, we're going to have multiple streams. So there's a lot of content for you guys to dig into. I believe, Chip, you said you're streaming tomorrow at noon. And then tomorrow I'm going to try to do a stream at 8 o'clock as well, 8 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time. And then we also have our typical live stream hours are Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the roundtable, Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. We call that one XRP FOMO because we like to talk about XRP and FOMO. And sometimes we never even talk about that. We go on to completely different topics. But Saturday morning, 8 a.m., we also do a live stream this week. Tomorrow, tune in again at noon with Chip. Will be awesome. Looking forward to that one. That's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time live stream with Chip.
Yeah, so. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing it all week, I think, as much as I can, because there's so much great stuff going on in the community and looking at this. You know, the comments, what people are saying about it. It's a pretty. Hang on a second. So I'm going to put Channing's other thing in there. This was David XRP requested it again, so I'm going to drop it in again. Any guests we always have on, just remember that we always have a way for you to get in touch with them, and I'll also share. This is Channing on Twitter as well. So go ahead and so there you go. You can follow him on Twitter as well. So follow him on Twitter. And you know, this is we try to keep this show to an hour, but there's just so much to go on to. I mean, it's so much. And wow, it was one more comment that I wanted to feature here because I thought this was interesting. And you know, I always hate this, Jeff. We always lose it. It's like.
Hey. There's Lady E out there. Shout out to Lady E.
Shout out to Lady E. Who's been on the show.
One thing. What did you guys want to read that?
Let's go ahead and read this first. So so Stephen. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead
and read that. Oh.
I was just gonna whatever you one's appetite. Goodness, if I can get my mouth right here. When it comes to the Spark token and also Flair Finance, if you get an opportunity, I think last week, we were talking about starting up a Uniswap account, also setting up possibly a MetaMask account if you can, because that MetaMask wallet will allow you to start trading some of your Ethereum tokens and just kind of, fool around with it a little bit. And when you get into the liquidity pools, you'll see that some of these tokens are actually pooling at 100%. There was one, I believe the name was Zyod. Before it ICO'd, it actually was pooling at 1,000%. So this just really goes to show, the type of money that we're going to be able to make, from, all right, this is not financial advice, right? But here it is. I am bullish, but just check it out. Check it out. Just get used. I think if XRP holders can actually get on to Uniswap and get a MetaMask account, just understand, learn the pain that you're going to feel when you experience some of these Ethereum fees, and just think of what's going to happen since we're now on a Byzantine network. We're not on a proof of work, proof of stake. On a Byzantine network, will actually now there will be fees. Granted, there will be fees, but the fees are going to be a lot less. So, just get in there, fool around, play around. I really appreciate Crypto Airy. She talked about how we know how to hodl. Now we're going to have to experience this DeFi space. It's over $2 billion, guys, in this DeFi space, and a lot of people are making money in it. So, just kind of getting around in there, fool around and experience the pain of the Ethereum gas, and just think of what we're going to experience when we get this Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's like you're getting gassed. You know what I mean? Really, it is incredible, the fees they have there. I want to go back to Steven's, Kurt's, his little statement here. He says, I think Brian Brooks knew Clayton was going to do this, and when he said clarity in 6 to 8 weeks, now 3 to 5, the lawsuit will be settled in late January, and XRP return on investment will rocket past all crypto in 2021. You have to look at it from a standpoint of imagine the clarity happens. All of the banks and financial institutions that have been telling Ripple, I'll tell you what, call me back in a month, call me next year, call me this. When that clarity hits, you're going to have 3 big things happen. You're going to have everybody all of a sudden, Ripple's going to go from onboarding 2 or 3 new customers a month to doing 2 or 3 every other day. Then you're going to see all the big money. The big money is going to come in, right? Because who knows what Bitcoin's going to be up to, 26, 27, 30,000, 40,000, or do I take 40,000 and go buy something that's on sale, right? So you're going to see that flood. So that might be the impetus that starts the moonshot, right? Or at least passes the all-time high. And then of course you've got the retail investors too that are coming in. The people that you've been telling about. I had a conversation with my neighbor tonight. He was like, "Man, you must be doing good with that Bitcoin." I go, "Remember the conversation I had with you when it was $3,000?" He goes, "I remember. Boy, do I remember." So then there's all those people you've been talking to over the last couple of years. They're going to be like, "Oh, what is this cryptocurrency? Tell me more about that Bitcoin." That they're going to be
a lot of people, Chip. I mean, this is the time. It's getting recognition as the investment, and mainly because the big institutions are starting to get into it. So once the big institutions get into it, then it validates it for a lot of people. So most people in this space have been early in this space. We're all early adopters and investment in the space, regardless of, what digital asset, you're involved in, so that's important, so whether or not you started in Bitcoin, started in Ethereum, diversified into, into different digital assets. The key is that everybody here is, has been early in. A lot of people are just joining in now, which is great too, to see that as the space develops. You've got, now you have, MicroStrategy has over $1 billion now invested in Bitcoin, over $1 billion. I think he's up to like 1.2 or close to 1.5 billion in Bitcoin at this point. So, that's massive. Mm-hmm. Those are massive numbers. And we're starting to see more and more of that. You're starting to see more and more of, the XRP until what we saw right now. So It's going to be this 2020 was all about getting us to this point. All the stuff that happened in between, forget about that. But, maybe that, all this stuff that we've suffered over, it's going to be a year pretty soon. Mm-hmm. It went from 2 weeks to almost a year of this nonsense that we're facing. But the thing is, maybe this was the impetus that has pushed the digital asset conversation, to the next level. The point is that we're here now having this conversation on digital assets, and so is every other government and every financial institution in the world is having the same conversation about where it's going. And, to me, my wrap up on this again, and I'll keep emphasizing over and over again, is that going back to the core case, this is the opportune moment. It's now. The timing is now. Everything, to me, kind of aligns. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Things happen, and it seems very choreographed, very orchestrated. That we're at this point. So, that's kind of what I have to say.
No, I think that's a good wrap up, Jeff. Channing, I want to give you the last word here before we get out of here. By the way, thank you for coming on again, man. I appreciate it. It's great to have you on here, man. And
it's an honor, man. It's an honor to be with you guys, man. Watching you guys just about every day, you know, being on the show. That's really cool, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Just continue, you know, one of the things I would say as an XRP investor, we're learning on the early stage what it is that we hold. Once these prices get up from 28, 29 cent to 30 cent to $3, let's say in the future, possibly $300, you'll remember this time period as a hodler, and you'll remember how they shook out the weak hands, because the prices are going to drop. The prices are going to go up. Just look what happened in the past couple of months. Bitcoin went from 9,000 to almost 30,000 now within less than 4 months. If we get this type of regulation that's expected, just think about what the standard is going to go up. Not only is it a store of value, but it has utility. It can be on fire, and it will give us forks. The Flair Finance and the Spark Flair is just the beginning. So, you know, I think this is really training us as investors on how to invest properly, how to stay strong.
Nice. I don't have anything to say after that. That was well said, gentlemen. And with that, I want to thank everybody. Thank you for coming here, sharing your ideas. You know, we can't get them all on there, but there's certainly a lot of good ones. The ones we see, we usually focused on the conversation, but we like to feature the community. We like to have you guys. Please like, subscribe, click that notification bell. And I would say that there's a... I wanted to, oh, sorry, I had to clear my throat real quick. It was like, I was getting a froggy there. It was not working out. But I just say, come into live streams tomorrow. Jeff's doing a later one. I'm going to do a 12 o'clock one, probably noonish. Do a live stream, and we're going to start doing some more stuff. Throwing some stuff up on that other channel. It's down there too. We have another channel, and that's stuff for uploaded stuff. That's all I have. Everybody chanting, Jeff. What are you saying, Jeff?
Looking forward to having Channing back on at some point here in the very near future to talk about Flair.
Yeah.
So, so we gotta get.
He's our resident Flair expert that we never talk about Flair with.
I just know how to read a white paper, man, and watch a video.
Nice. Well, good. That's very helpful. All right, guys. Everyone, we'll see you on the next one. Join us tomorrow for some more live streaming and some more fun. Chip, Channing, Jeff, out.
We're out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.